Rachel Hoffman with the Rachel Hoffman Real Estate Group here, and I've decided something super fun that I am going to create a series to help VA buyers, okay? So whether you're buying a single family property, multifamily property, or a condo, I'm gonna give you some tips and tricks so that you're prepared when you hit the market, okay? Thanks for coming to the series. You must be a veteran, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to some of my tips and tricks. Obviously, I'm here in Austin, Texas, but I'm gonna tell you anywhere you are, if you're looking to buy a property as a veteran, you're gonna need your DD 214. So reach out, get that form first. That's the first step before you even talk to a lender, look at houses, hire me as your realtor, all of the above. DD 214. All right, step number 2, find a lender. So there are gonna be some lenders that I believe the VA can suggest to you, but if you have a realtor in mind already like me, ask me. I'll tell you which lenders I've worked with for VA loans that actually know what they're doing. I had one recently, the lender didn't even know what a non-warrantable condo is. And so we had to change it. So change lenders. So that's your second step, is to talk to a lender. Step number 3, find a realtor. Call me. Find one that actually knows how to deal with a veteran transaction, because it is different and your realtor needs to know what they're doing to help you and make sure that you're protected every step of the way. If the agent doesn't know what they're doing with a VA loan, you could lose your earnest money, your option money, your inspection money, appraisal money, like everything that you put up front, you could lose if your agent doesn't know what they're talking about or doing, okay? So call me. Step number 4 is to figure out how much money you're gonna need up front to make this whole transaction smooth. So talk to your lender, ask what fees they're gonna be charged up front, and also talk to your realtor about common charges for things like inspections, okay? So that way you're prepared and you have all the money you need up front to do inspections, appraisal, things like that. Step number 5. Okay, now we've got our lender, we've got our realtor, we know how much money we need, and now we're gonna go start looking at properties. When you're talking with your realtor and having your buyer consultation, you're gonna tell them what you're looking for. If you're looking for a single family home, let's go start looking, you're ready. Now, if you're looking for a condo, we're gonna have a different step. We have to make sure that the condo, the HOA association, is approved for VA loans. Isn't that crazy? Like, you can't just go in and buy something, it has to be approved. They have this whole step, they have to apply. And so that's something that you wanna make sure that your realtor knows. A lot of listing agents are gonna put it on there saying they accept VA without checking. So get a realtor who knows what they're doing. I have a link, type it in, find out if it's available or not. If not, we can take some steps to try and get them approved if the HOA is open to it. So there's things that can be done about it, but you're gonna wanna know that up front, okay? So with condos, the HOA is gonna need to be approved for VA loans to be done. Okay, step number 6. Once you find a property that you absolutely love, you're gonna want to walk around the property. Make sure there's no obvious signs of foundation issues, roof leaking, and even sometimes some peeling paint. If there's termites in the inspection report, there's a lot of things that a VA appraiser is going to note that has to be fixed prior to closing. So you wanna make sure that you're aware these things might be an issue so that when you do your offer, your realtor can address these with the listing agent and find out if it's possible to get them fixed before closing or if they're open to any of it. Some sellers just don't even wanna deal with a VA buyer, so it might be a little tough to find the property, but if you're persistent and you know what you're looking for, you'll have no problem. Step number 7. Okay, now we're about to make an offer on a property, okay? You're talking to your realtor, telling her what you want, how much you want to put down, things like that. Those are all details your realtor is going to want to know. Another thing that your realtor is going to want to know is how long is it going to take your lender to close the deal. This is why it's important that your lender and your realtor are in touch with each other so that your realtor knows what kind of terms to put in that offer that are going to encompass the time frame that the lender needs. So make sure that all of that is, you know, your realtor and your lender are in cahoots or in communication so that your offer looks great, because first impressions are everything. You don't want a sloppy offer out there and then have to do an amendment to change it because blah, blah, blah. So anyway, just make sure that your lender and your realtor are in touch. Step number 8, we've submitted an offer and the seller has agreed to all of your terms, your negotiations went well, and now it's time for you to start moving forward with the purchase. This is what's considered an executed contract, okay? Just because it was signed by both parties, dated, were executed, right? Well, now we need to get it receipted because you have 3 days after the acceptance of the execution of the contract to submit your earnest money and option money. The option money is gonna pay for you to have time to get it inspected, renegotiate, back out, whatever you wanna do during that time. So you wanna make sure that money is there on time. The earnest money is kind of like your skin in the game. It's gonna sit in an escrow account for you, which will come out of your out-of-pocket expenses at closing. So these 2 things need to be done 3 days after being accepted. Okay, step number 9. So now we wanna order our inspection. So you wanna find a company that you're comfortable with. Usually they charge by the square footage. So that's something that you'll wanna have in mind ahead of time, right? A lot of people don't even realize that during your inspection time, you wanna get an insurance quote as well. Because if you can't get the property insured, you have a legal way to back out of the contract during your option period. So while you're getting the property inspected, you also wanna try to get an insurance policy underway as well. Step number 10, your inspection report is back. You've gone over it with your realtor. You put into lists what's most important to you, what you could do without, and then we negotiate. So you send your list over to the seller and the seller agrees to say half of it. You're okay with that. So everything's done. You wanna make sure that your amendment that the realtor sends is super specific. You don't want them to just put in there like signs of rodent infestation. That's a statement, that's not a request. So you wanna make sure that your realtor is so specific about each little repair that you need done that there's no room for error, okay? A lot of times the seller doesn't even wanna deal with that, so they'll agree to a dollar amount. Make sure that your realtor during that option period is helping you get bids for this work so that you are not surprised at the end and you get exactly the amount that you need to take care of these repairs. This is where a really seasoned agent comes in handy, you guys. You wanna make sure that that amendment is specific. Now that all of that is done, the main thing that you're gonna focus on is getting the lending done, okay? You wanna make sure that you give your lender everything that they ask you for in a timely manner. If you drag your feet and wait a week to send them a document, you might delay closing. And that's an issue, so don't do that. Also, this shouldn't be something that I have to say, but you'd be surprised. Do not buy a new car. Do not refinance the car. Do not open credit cards and start buying your furniture now. You could really ruin the loan. Okay, so just stay still, be quiet, and wait for the loan to close, and then you can do all of that stuff, okay? Okay, we're really close to the closing date now. You should have what they call a settlement statement. That's gonna tell you where every single dollar in the transaction comes from and goes to. That's gonna give you the dollar amount that you need to bring to closing. You either wanna wire that or get a cashier's check. You're gonna wanna handle that ahead of time, okay? Sometimes the settlement statement comes like late at night the day before closing, but it is what it is. So you're gonna wanna either wire it or get a cashier's check. Sit down at the closing table, you sign all your paperwork, everything's good, you're done. You still don't get the keys yet in most cases. Sometimes you have to wait for it to fund, which means the paperwork gets sent back to the lender checks over it. Once everything checks out, the money's where it needs to be, then they'll send out an email or call you, say, we have funded, congratulations. That's when you can either go back to the title company and pick up the keys, or your realtor can meet you there and give them to you. However that happens, you have to wait until funding before you get access to the property. This isn't a step, but this is pretty cool. Back in the day, VA buyers were not allowed to pay for their own termite inspection. So if your realtor didn't know what they were talking about, you would get down to the closing, and if there is no receipt of someone else paying for this for your client, there was gonna be an issue. But they changed that, so now we don't have to worry about it anymore. So when you're getting your inspection done, I suggest always doing a wood destroying insect inspection. We call it a WDI. It includes carpenter ants and termites and things like that. All right, just a couple of afterthoughts. Well, the main one is do not schedule your movers until you have funding. I've had so many clients be so aggravated because there was a delay in closing or delay in funding. So if you close at 3 p.m. on a Friday, sometimes you won't get funding until Monday. So, be aware not to schedule all that kind of stuff until you actually have access to the property, which means you need to wait until we fund before you schedule things like that. It's just best practices.